table performance, use the bulk loads, use external loaders, drop indexes. Key constraints not required. Just dropping and recreating the index is fine. Increasing the database network packet sizes. Target side also, you can increase the network packet size. Who will increase? DBA will increase it. Okay. Now the next one is optimizing the mappings. Optimizing the mappings, very important. Okay. So before going to the optimizing the mappings, I did not cover few things in lookup. Okay. I did not cover few things in lookup. So I'll open lookup. Okay. Here, what are the types of lookups? What are the types of caches you have in lookup?
Static, dynamic.
Cache, index cache.
The basic types of caches are data cache, index cache, then static cache, dynamic cache, shared cache, persistent cache. First of all, what is a cache? What is a cache? What is lookup cache?
Stores the temporary records data.
It will store that means whenever you are executing, whenever you run a mapping, so it will fire a select statement on the source, whatever. If you take source table as a lookup table, it will fire say query, lookup query on the source table. Whatever it fetches, it will put in the lookup query. It will copy in the lookup cache, and from the lookup cache, it will take it. Lookup will take it. That is called lookup cache. What if I don't enable the lookup cache in lookup? Without lookup cache, can a lookup work? First of all, without lookup cache, can we run the lookup?
No.
Yes, we can run. Why not? Check. Take the lookup. Take any lookup transformation mapping. In this, double click on lookup. Properties. Oh, this is checked in. m_dim employees. Check out. Okay. Double click on the lookup. Go to properties. Okay. Here, are you seeing lookup caching enabled? Cache lookup values during the session. Uncheck it. Uncheck it. All the lookup options, cache options are disabled, right? Static cache, lookup persistent cache, dynamic cache. Okay, all these are disabled. Yes or no?
Yes.
So that means whenever you don't give this option, for every record, it will fetch it, go to the database. For first record, it will go to the database, it will take that, and it will check with the target records whether it is there or not. Then it will give it. So how it will give it? Like this. I'll show you here. Okay, see. So see, lookup caches. Informatica engine issues a select statement against the database. When the first row arrives the lookup, that result set splits into two caches. One is data cache, index cache. Data cache holds the columns of the output ports. Index cache holds the columns in the lookup condition. Caches are queried internally for each row processing for the lookup. The query is based on the lookup condition and the values of the pipeline ports. Okay, whatever it is, lookup ports. Now, when you don't enable the cache, each mapping row needs one select statement. Each mapping row, every time, normally here what it will do, it will fire the select statement first time, fires it. Whatever you will get it, that will be copied in the lookup cache. Yes or no? When it enabled, first it will execute this statement. Whatever it is there, it will copy in the lookup cache. If you don't enable, for every record, it will fetch from the database. Instead of fetching from the lookup cache, it will fetch from the database, so that it will take more time. When you don't enable the lookup cache, lookup will take more time. So always better you enable the lookup cache. Did you understand? If you don't give the lookup cache, what it will do? Lookup table is cached. Every mapping row needs a one select statement. If you have 10 lakh records, 10 lakh times it will fire the database. 10 lakh times it will fire the lookup table. Otherwise, anyway, it will be there in the lookup cache. Okay, it will fire the statement of the lookup cache. It will get the results from the lookup cache. Instead of firing from the database, firing to the lookup cache is easy, because that cache belongs to lookup. Yes or no, please? Did you agree with me? Yes or no? Did you understand? What if we don't have lookup cache? See this. cache if the number of records in the lookup table. See, so and again, suppose you are using two tables are there, EMP DEPT table. You want to join by using lookup. Then take which is the lesser number of records as a lookup table, so that the lookup cache size will be smaller. The integration service builds a cache memory when it processes the first row of the data cache with the lookup transformation. The integration service stores the condition value. Okay, by default, these values are deleted in the cache memory once the completion of the sessions. Okay, so whenever you are using a lookup cache, whenever you are using lookup, by default it will be enabled. By default it will be enabled. Don't uncheck it. If you uncheck it, lookup will take more and more time. Okay, so let it be checked. Okay, once it is checked, okay, then it will be creating a lookup cache and it will be deleting whenever it will delete whenever our workflow completed. That is called lookup cache. Did you understand the lookup cache?
Yeah.
Everybody, please. Did you understand? What if you give lookup cache enabled? If you don't enable it, did you understand, please?
Yes.
Clear, guys? Okay, now next. So we have actually six types of caches: index cache, data cache, persistent cache, static cache. What is persistent cache? What is persistent cache? Please observe. Guaranteed question. Okay, what is persistent cache in lookup? Okay, what is persistent cache in lookup? With this option, lookup cache files are created by integration service first time and can be reused in the next time integration service processes the lookup transformation, thus eliminating the time required to read the lookup table. Lookup can be configured to use persistent cache when the table does not change between the sessions. When the table does not change between the sessions. That means you go to the workflow manager. Okay, you go to the workflow manager, go to the properties, you give here, sorry, in lookup, you go here. Are you seeing lookup cache persistent? Are you seeing lookup cache persistent? Yes.
Yes.
Or no?
Yes.
Click on this. When you click on this, these two are enabling, correct? When you enable it, cache file name prefix you enable. Here, you give any name. Suppose I have a lookup table called locations. I have a lookup table is locations fixed table. I have only in India, I have 10 locations or 50 locations I have in India. That is fixed table, it will not change. We will use in every mapping, we will use this lookup table. So that means every time it will create the same cache, yes or no? Whenever you look up a table, will it create a same cache? Correct or not? Suppose mapping 1 is using lookup table as a locations table. It will create the cache. It will having the same records because this locations table will never change, because locations table will not change in real time also, because every day location will not change. Okay, that means my company locations is my lookup table. So what you do is, okay, you take the lookup cache persistent and you give the name, prefix the name. That means like LOC underscore. If you give it LOC underscore, whatever it gives the name while it is creating the name, no lookup cache, it will prefix this one and it will be stored under lookup, or it will be stored under lookup cache directory, and it will not delete, once the session is completed. It will be there only. And in which mapping, suppose in any other mapping you are using same lookup table, then use this option there also, so that again and again cache will not create. It will reuse this cache. It will reuse this cache file. That is called persistent cache. Okay, whenever you have a lookup table, okay, when does not change between the sessions, and if you want to reuse the lookup table again and again in multiple mappings, then use the persistent cache. Did you understand what is persistent cache? Normally a cache file will create when the session run and it will delete when the session completed, but persistent cache will create and it will not delete. Until and unless you delete, it will not delete. Next time, wherever you are using the name of this persistent cache, wherever you are using the name here, wherever you are using the name there, it will not create the cache, it will reuse the cache, so that cache time, the time taking to create a cache will reduce. The time taking to create a cache will reduce. That is called persistent cache. Did you understand what is persistent cache, please? Did you understand what is persistent cache?
Yes.
Clear? Persistent cache. I can say permanent cache. Okay. So persistent cache means I can say that means we can be normally persistent means reusable again and again the same cache we can use. Static cache, by default PowerCenter server creates a static or read-only cache. Okay, for the lookup table, the integration service does not update the cache while it processes the lookup transformation. But dynamic, okay, it will inserts or updates the data into lookup table. So when you enable dynamic lookup, what are the changes you will see in lookup? When you enable dynamic lookup in the lookup, what are the changes you will see? Guys, please respond. So you did not remember? When you enable dynamic lookup cache, what are the things you can see see the changes in the lookup transformation? What are the changes, guys? So it will create a lookup, it will create a new lookup row and the associated port will be enabled. Okay, and new lookup row equal to 0 means no updates in the cache. Insert means 1, updates means 2. Okay, so 0 means no updates, 1 means it will insert the data into cache, 2 means it will update the data into cache, and we should give lookup property dynamic lookup cache, and also we should give insert else update. These are things we should give it, right? Yes or no?
Yes.
Correct. Dynamic lookup cache, that is the thing. Okay, that is dynamic lookup cache. Now what is shared cache? It is also similar to persistent cache. Normally this persistent cache, shared cache, we will never use it. Very rare cases, if your lookup is performing very less, very huge lookup data you have, then only we will use it. Otherwise I never use the persistent cache, I never use shared cache. Okay, but I use static cache, I use dynamic cache. Okay, lookup cache can be shared between multiple lookup transformations. Unnamed cache can be shared between transformations of a single mapping. Named cache can be shared between transformations of a single mapping or across the mappings. Okay, unnamed cache means you are not giving any name to the cache. This is called unnamed cache. This is called unnamed cache. Suppose if you are not giving any name, this is called unnamed cache. Okay, so unnamed cache, okay, will be used. Okay, we can use across the mappings, across the other transformations in the same mapping, but when you named cache can be shared across the cache. Almost persistent and shared are almost same. Almost same. It will be used for reusable caches. That's it. Okay. So this is about caches in lookup. Okay. So if they ask you, you can tell the same thing. Okay. I have given. So it is in dynamic lookup folder. This is there in dynamic lookup folder. Okay, you can check it out. I already sent it to you, this one. Okay, so clear about caches, guys? Are you clear? Are you clear about caches? Yes or no?
Yes, Raj.
So the one more thing is in lookup, normally suppose if I have a lookup table, in lookup table, suppose I will take any other table which is having a small, suppose in this I am taking a STG employees as a lookup table. Suppose I am saying lookup, oh, it is also disabled. Thing is checked. STG employees, take it. Okay, now take the lookup. You take the lookup of STG employees. Now you drag here employee ID equal to employee ID equal to employee ID, then send date enter to here. Something we are doing. Date enter to here. Okay, save it. Done. Give the condition employee ID equal to employee ID. Employee ID equal to employee ID. Now in the properties, if you generate SQL or don't generate SQL, what will happen is, see. Okay, save it, let it be. Now, when you run it, which one will execute first? When you run this mapping, suppose all these are I am taking from the lookup. All these are I am taking from the lookup. Okay, I don't even single record I am taking from the source. Everything I am taking from the lookup. Like this. Now, when you run this mapping, which one will execute first? Which one will execute first?
Lookup.
Lookup. What it will write in the lookup? It will write a query like this. Not only this, it will write a default order by, yes or no?
Yes.
When you run this, it will write a order by also. Because I am connecting everything to here. I am connecting everything to here. Order by will be everything, no? Yes or no? Correct or
Yes.
not, guys? Like this. See? it will give like this. Just a second. Now it will give like this. So this is my lookup query. This is my lookup query. Okay. Now when you run this mapping, it will give a default order by in the session log. Order by all the fields. STG employee's full name, comma, STG employee's email, comma, because I am fetching all the records, because I am sending all the records to the target from lookup. Correct? Yes or no? Then it will give all the order by columns. STG employee's phone, comma, STG employee's side dates, comma. Okay, next. Like that, all records it will give, all the fields it will give. Okay, comma, comma, order by. Now, when order by on these all columns, will it take less time or more time?
More.
When the lookup
More
take
time.
when the lookup take order by on these all columns, it will take more time, right? Yes or no?
Yes, Raj.
Order by will always costly. Order by and group by are costly. Costly means it will decrease the performance of it. It will take time because it should order first full name, then it should match the email, phone number, all these things. Suppose I have 50 columns. 50 times order by you should give. You should write it. Okay. So now how to avoid this? Any idea? I want to avoid this. When you run this, default it will write it. We will not write it. Just you don't, if it is not SQL, lookup SQL override, if you don't generate also, when you run this mapping, it will give this kind of a query in the database and it will take time to fetch the lookup cache. Then how to avoid this order by? How to avoid this order by? For that purpose, what we do is we will write a lookup override query, just generate it. Once you generate it, which one you want to order by? At least one should be order by. One field should be order by, otherwise lookup will not work. Now I will give lookup order by employee ID. I will give it key column employee ID. I will give it like this, and I will give a double dash after this. I will give a double dash. What will happen when it executes in the runtime? It will execute like this. Okay, when it executes, where it this employee ID, if it is first, suppose this employee ID is in first. Okay, this employee ID is in first. Select employee. Okay, like this. It is this is our query. Okay, now so this is our query. Now I'll put it this one also here. This is our query and order by STG employee ID, comma, as not required, comma, like this. Now what I am writing, this is actually it should execute like this, correct? Will it execute like this? Lookup query in internally background, yes or no? Yes or no, guys? When I execute this mapping, will it execute like this or not? This one leave it. If I don't have it, will it execute like this? Yes or no?
Yes.
Now what I am writing, generate SQL. Okay, so generate SQL, order by, I will write it order by employee ID, and I will give a double dash here. That means what it will do after employee ID double dash, no, it will give after employee ID double dash. What is happening? What it is happened now? What is double dash means?
Commented.
That means it will not run, right? It will take only employee ID. That means we are avoiding all these order by, yes or no? Correct or not, guys? Yes. So to improve the performance of a lookup, always use a lookup override and give the double dash, suffix a double dash. Suppose you want two fields. After two fields, you write it. You want employee ID, employee name also. Employee name also you wanted. You give comma employee name. Okay, double dash. That means what it will give? It will take it, but it will give a double dash exactly like after this. So it will take only two fields. Yes or no? So this is all we are saving the time, right? To instead of order buying. So this is how, what is this? To override the default or to override the default order by class in Oracle, in lookup transformation. So normally, see, this is how I have it here. Okay, here See this lookup query. Always look at the session log and review the SQL query issued to populate the lookup caches. The query always includes an order by clause. This clause is generated automatically by Informatica and cannot be modified directly. Yes or no? You cannot be modified directly. Since every column is included in the order by, it can be very expensive. That means performance will be less. The only way around is override the SQL query, add your own order by, and finish the statement with the comment delimiter such as double dash. When you give it like this, your custom order by must include the columns used in the lookup condition in the order they appear in the condition tab. That means in your lookup, you are giving order by employee ID full name. Here you are using two things: employee name equal to employee name. Suppose full name equal to full name. So first employee should come, then full name should come. Okay, that is the order. So the engine expects rows to be started in the caches. So an order by clause is mandatory. Order by clause is mandatory like this. Then what it will do? It will what it will do? It will give us, if you give a suppress, if you suppress with the double dash, it will what it will do? It will comment out all these things so that we will avoid all those things. Whatever we require, only two things it will order by. Like this, we can improve the lookup transformation. Did you understand this? This I will ask. How to override the lookup default override? How to override the lookup default order by clause in Informatica? So what you need to, you generate the lookup override query in the lookup and write your own order by statement for one or two fields and suffix with a and suppress, not suffix. Yeah, suffix also fine. Suppress with double dash so that like this, you should give a double dash in the lookup.